What's up? Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you about something that's a little bit more serious, but a little bit more knowledgeable as well. Something that we can all take something away from and apply it to our own lives, and that is on accountability. Accountability is something that should be valued by a lot of people, but is used very loosely by others. So, before we get into anything else, I'm going to read the definition so that we have a basic level understanding of what accountability is. Accountability occurs when individuals reliably deliver on their commitments, showing others that they can be trusted to do what they say they'll do. Leaders further demonstrate accountability by taking responsibility for the outcomes of their actions and decisions and successfully transforming efforts into results. So, the first part I want to talk about is practice what you preach. I'm pretty sure everyone has heard this before in some way, shape, or facet in their lives, whether that's by their mom, their dad, their relatives, their friends, strangers, associates. It could be a plethora of things, which leads me into my first point in this segment. There are people that don't take their own advice. I'm pretty sure we all have that friend or that family member that never take their own advice at all, like whatsoever. And that's not only detrimental to them, but that could potentially be detrimental to people around them. When you don't take your own advice, you're setting up a long line of having to go through the same thing on a very, very consistent basis. And it doesn't do anything for anybody. And how it harms other people is that these could be people that you're in a romantic relationship with, people that you are friends with, people that you are siblings to. You're never ever taking your own advice, so that could potentially ruin other people's lives or at least put a strain on your relationship because you haven't done the work. You haven't put in any effort to try to change yourself. And if you don't put in any effort to change yourself, other people can't help you change. So it just ends up being a repeating cycle of you thinking that you're doing some type of good in the world, but all you're doing for yourself is essentially keeping yourself stagnant. So my second part is making sure you understand what you're saying and the result you want it to have. So making sure you comprehend what you're trying to get across and drive home. But if that line of connection does not make sense, it's never going to have the amount of impact that it initially would have had. And what result do you really want it to have? What's the impact that you want it to have? You cannot have a statement that isn't of value, that doesn't have any substance, any shine to it. Because if it doesn't fit, then it doesn't fit. Which leads me into my point, is what you're saying quality? Is what you're saying up to par? Does the crime fit the punishment? And vice versa. If those things are not being factored in, then I don't know if you can take real accountability for your actions. Being committed to what you're saying, which is the next point, be authentic in what you're trying to spew to other people, whether you are apologizing or taking responsibility for something. But, which leads me into my next point, don't apologize for something that you don't mean. Don't take the time to apologize for something that you could literally not give two F's about. These celebrities, these YouTubers, these politics and corporations, they all have done something that they're not genuine about. Authenticity is so important. Transitioning into my next part, which is number 3, is be open to critique. Having feedback to what you actually need to pay attention to when you're taking responsibility and accountability for something is very important. And sometimes you're not going to always see everything. Although accountability and responsibility are two different things, although they can go hand in hand. On one hand, accountability is taking account for a task that has already been done, although responsibility can be handed with that as well. And on the other hand, responsibility is more so taking responsibility for your homework, a thing that has not been done yet, or taking responsibility for a child that is not in the world yet. Responsibility is more so stuff that has not came yet compared to accountability where it has already been done. Leading me into my next point, your apology is not always going to be exactly what people want to hear. So be open to explaining yourself and what your audience wants to hear from you. What exactly are you apologizing for? And transitioning to my next point, only if you mean it. That's only if you mean it. Please don't apologize for something that you do not mean. It's just a constant reminder that you are not an authentic person. And I see a lot of celebrities and the people I mentioned before that do not understand or comprehend the critical understanding that you really need. Bringing me to my last point, which is for address others that have also did the deed. I know that sounds drastic, but if you know that you've taken responsibility and accountability for your actions in a very extensive, quality way where, everyone has accepted your apology, then you need to start addressing other people in your community, especially if you have a personal relationship with them. It is toxic to allow other people to be toxic when you know that you have the potential to fix it. It's different if you don't think that they're going to change, but if you know that there's even a sliver of hope that you can change this person, then you need to take that jump, then you need to take that leap. Now, that's not always going to look the same for everyone. That's not always going to look the same for everyone in the same household, etc. But it's very important that you express that. And sometimes you have to call out people, whether they're family members, friends, strangers, or any other people under that umbrella. It's not always going to look nice. It's not always going to look decent. Revolutions are very violent. They are. Now, I'm not promoting violence or anything like that, but I'm just saying some stuff doesn't get done by just shaking hands and saying, you're cute, I'm cute, so let's be together type of situation. Which leads me into my next point. Be consistent. Be consistent. If you really want to make sure that you've changed, you need to be consistent in your behavior, because it's very easy to just slip back. It's very easy to slip back into who you used to be.